Welcome to Two Women in Crypto, a weekly podcast birthed on a whim by two women who are excited about the cryptocurrency landscape and have a shared passion about empowering others to step into the digital, tokenized world of the future. We offer tips, tricks, and our own individual insights as to how to begin to navigate this shift. We are not financial advisors nor experts. We are just here to encourage you to look at the possibilities. So welcome to the future. You're right on time. Good morning.
Good morning, love.
Big deep breath.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Yes.
And happy Thursday. And tomorrow will be Freya Friday.
Freya Friday. All the abundance flows. Freya, Freya, Freya.
Ooh, what a week.
Yeah. What a world. But yes, what a week. So we're going to really quickly just dive into some housekeeping. Please join us tomorrow. We have a class that Andrew is teaching on ISO 2022. We'd love to have you join us. The cost is $45, but just register. It's free at first, but then we'll send you all the contact details on how to pay because we're kind of stepping out of the regular system in regards to payments. So just doing things a little bit different, but we would love to have you join us. It'll be amazing. Super excited about it as you do the deep dive.
Yeah, so, I'm super excited too. It's going to be awesome.
Awesome. And the links will be right below in both audio and video. And you can go to twowomen.crypto.com under classes and events, and it should be listed. Somebody did say that they did not see it, but just let us know. Super exciting. All right, let's dive in. Woohoo!
Woohoo! All right, well, let's touch base on Ripple since they did an interview with Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple at Davos.
Yep. All eyes on Davos. So fascinating. They tell us everything. They tell us what's going on if we really lean in. So,
yeah, and it's like they're so concerned, right, about climate change. Yet their private jets are literally lined up. And then Rebel News for alternative news. So they're at Davos. And they found like all of BlackRock's cars. Are they electric? No. They're gas guzzling SUV Mercedes-Benz. And there's like, 5, 6, 7 of them, like all, in a little circle, and it's time to open up our eyes.
Right. Just the agenda at play.
But the good news is that I think Kelly and I both watched the interview with Brad Garlinghouse, and he is extremely confident.
Yeah, he is, and it was really refreshing just the whole way. I mean, he always is just so very well spoken, very articulate, and well read. But he was just a breath of fresh air, just in regards to the fodder that goes back and forth in those conversations. I just think that he speaks truths, and we have so much to be looking forward. Perhaps settlement of the case in the first half of this year, he alluded to. So, I mean, we can go with that, can't we?
Yeah, we sure can. So basically what he was saying, he's not going to settle without XRP getting clarity.
Yep.
And the SEC is not going to settle and give XRP clarity. So it's going to come up. It's down to the judge. So we'll see what Judge Netburn and Torres has to say. And but again, it's just like the confidence and the evidence. And he even said, he's like, over the years before the SEC dropped the lawsuit, Ripple met with Gary Gensler, or not Gary Gensler because he wasn't there, but he met with the SEC on 3 different occasions. Not once did they say XRP was a security. So they let this quote unquote unregistered security trade for 7 years before they dropped the lawsuit. So when I look at how confident Brad Garlinghouse is that the lawsuit will be coming to an end, there will be judgment, he believes in the first half of 2023. That makes me very happy.
Oh no, right? And for the, I mean, yeah, and even those that, again, we say this quite often in every podcast, is even if this is the first time you're leaning in or you're just beginning to lean in, you're still very early to the whole cryptocurrency landscape. So don't feel as though you've missed the train, because you haven't. There's so many opportunities.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, so much of this technology is still being built out. I look at all the different projects that are being built on the blockchains. I mean, we are very early, very early. The Internet of Value is being built, but
Right.
we're right on time, and we just have to take a step out and look at what's going on in the world. We're moving to a digital economy, and that economy is based on technology.
Right.
Like we're not financial advisors, like Kelly just posted. This isn't financial advice, but we're encouraging and urging everybody, take some time out of your busy lives, join our class tomorrow, and just start doing some research, because our our world changes so slowly and then kind of all at once. Think about cell phones. When they got introduced, it happened very slowly, and then all of a sudden everybody had cell phones, and we never go back and think about what was life like without cell phones.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So and I look at BlackRock and their partnership with Coinbase, for custody and storage of cryptocurrency assets. And then I looked at the news over the week with Binance, and Binance offering custody services for institutional investors. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
So if we can invest in cryptocurrency before the mass institutional investors, what a ride we're going to go on in the next bull cycle.
They have just done such a great job, and this is just how, the billionaires are born. They shake all of the public out of it with fear, and people have this thought that cryptocurrency is a scam. I had a conversation with a gentleman at work yesterday where I was at, and he was like, "Well, isn't cryptocurrency a scam?" And I'm like, I mean, there's 22,000 cryptocurrencies. You're going to pick a few in there that are absolutely scams. But even with the FTX situation, that wasn't a scam. That was just plain old corruption, plain old Ponzi scheme type situation. That had nothing to do with cryptocurrency in itself.
Yeah, and it's such a good point too, right, Kel? Because we see the narrative, and they're pushing what happened with FTX as it's like cryptocurrency is bad. Look at the narrative that they're pushing. That had nothing to do with cryptocurrency. That had to do with a centralized company participating in fraud. And there's rules for that. This isn't the Wild West. They are a registered company in the United States. You have to follow the rules and regulations of not committing fraud. And that's exactly what they did with church. Look at Celsius, fraud. So I just, we have to look through some of the things that they say, because they're pushing this narrative. And if people are all like, well, cryptocurrency, it's a scam, I don't trust it, I don't believe in it. Well, if we don't band together, how heavy will they regulate it? And how hard will we be monitored? So, this is the future of finance. It's happening now. Countries are really starting to ramp up their central bank digital currency, which is programmable money directly from the central bank, very centralized. And we want to be mindful of this, because they'll push it like, you can trust us.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You can trust us, while the FDIC, is talking about bank balance, right? And should the public have the right to know about what's going on?
Well, we can, I don't know if you want to use that as a segue to talk about what is going on in the banking segments right now. What is happening with Bank of America? What are people seeing out there?
Yeah, so, I appreciate everybody sending me and Kelly videos. So, automation is coming in strong. So let's talk about that first. So there are Bank of America Bank of America is in the United States of America, where you take your debit card, you go up to the, the Bank of America bank, the physical bank. You have to tap your card, get access into the bank, and then any questions, talk to the video conference. We're
Yeah,
here to help.
you go into a private room. Well, anybody who's walking around town, and if you haven't done this in a long time, we get very complacent in our routine, right? So we have this certain loop that we do or whatever, but I urge anybody to walk around their town and peek into the banks. They're empty. They're all empty. I mean, there's very few that have an active stream of people going in and out because, of course, digitization, automation, everything we can do right here on our phone. But that was pretty fascinating to see that video. And I don't know where that was shot, but yeah, you go into a private room and then you have a virtual consultant with the Bank of America rep who knows if it's AI or not. We'll get into that in just a moment, but I'm sure it's a video conference, I would assume, with a human being. But
yeah. And then so yesterday and for the past couple of days, they've been having issues with their Zelle app. So people, their money wasn't showing up in their Bank of America accounts. And then they went, and the one video I saw was in Philadelphia. So then they go to their Bank of America and no one's there. And then I saw, I was listening to this woman and she was like, I sent my landlord $300 via Zelle, and then that money got back into my account, got pulled back out of my account. And I guess she had, then she got an overdraft.
Right.
So now what fees are we going to be responsible for paying? And it's really concerning. And they're not going to stop, right? That's one thing Kelly and I, we've been in this now for several years. They're not going to stop the automation, right? Everything is going virtual. So if you need help, who are you going to get help from?
Right. Well, the AI is going to be picking up your phone is who you're going to get help from.
Right. And, and again, it's just not having that human empathic interaction, especially, what if you're someone who for the past 25, 30 years have never missed a payment, the bank makes a mistake, but you're held accountable for it. So you have to pay for it. And there's no resolution with the human. Something to think about. And when I look at other videos that people are sending me, the Boston Dynamics dogs, and there's 3 of them that I saw walking around Washington, D.C., with their handlers. Okay. But what happens when their handlers aren't there? What happens when they're completely autonomous? And they already might be. I've been following Boston Dynamics for I probably since almost the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's, just look up a video, Boston Dynamic dogs, Boston Dynamic soldiers, because it's all there. And it's just for me, it's I'm putting the pieces of the puzzle together.
Sure.
So the 4th Industrial Revolution, artificial intelligence, machine learning, you know what I mean? Algorithms, drones. When I know in I think it was Seattle and Portland, when they were really pushing defund the police, I was like, wow, they have the robots ready.
Yeah, to my knowledge, I'm not in downtown Portland, but I know we have a couple of, I think there's a hotel or somewhere down there that has one of those little robot police guys. He kind of looks like a Weeble Wobble on wheels.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I couldn't speak to what else has been rolled out. I certainly haven't seen anything about it, but
yeah, I think they're rolled out in Boston, they're rolled out in New York City, they're rolled out in Charlotte, North Carolina, obviously Washington, D.C. So, it's always going to start with all the major cities first. I know right here in Daytona Beach, Florida, they do use drones. So, I mean, we'll just, all we can do is be observers and grab our popcorn and watch. This is out of our control, and even last night, Ro and I were talking, and it's just very interesting that we, the people, are the ones that have been building these systems, you know? Remember like when automation first happened with the telephone, and you would call and it would say press 1 for blah blah blah, press 2, and then you'd start screaming into the phone because it was so bad,
Yeah.
right? That it never like, you know, tell me what you want to know, and then you'll be like agent, customer service, and
Right.
you know,
Screaming at it.
yeah,
Agent. Yeah.
and they couldn't understand, but the
Yeah.
machines were learning. And now that we have Chat GPT, wow, the machines have learned. Exponential growth in technology is very difficult for an average person to understand. But
Yeah.
it is mind blowing. Everybody can go to openai.com and just type in Chat GPT and see how articulate and how smart this artificial intelligence is. It
Yeah.
is absolutely mind blowing. And I'm going to say this again. If you have a job that can be automated, accountants, lawyers, recruiters, you know, teachers, like start thinking about other passions. You know, like Kelly's super interested in programming, and she was,
No.
girl,
Oh my God. I was like, okay, because I'm number one, I'm a Gemini and I'm always about doing something new. I've got to be challenged. It's got to be fast. And once I get very complacent, and when I start not thinking, well, it's like, because I need to get challenged again. It's like, okay, great. So I signed up, started the initial process of becoming a coder. I was like, okay, well, I'll just do a program online and become a coder. So I'm talking to Andrea last night and she's like, well, Chat GPT will do that for you. You just ask for them to give you like the HTML code for something, and it'll give it to you. And I was like, huh, huh. Little bull with little steam coming out of its nose, like, well, damn it. But it's wild. It's really wild.
right. And I mean, and that's the thing, like here we are, you know, I mean, again, there's nothing we can do, but we all were responsible for building this because we did.
Oh,
Every
absolutely.
single every single person. And a lot of it was because we trusted, right, the narrative that the governments and the corporations were telling us. But at the same time, Google, Amazon, Apple have been collecting our data, and the machines have been learning.
Oh, can you imagine what Alexa's doing in your living room right now? I mean,
Right.
they record everything and then it
Every,
builds. I mean, so none of this should be a surprise to us. I mean, anybody who has their phone in front of them, if they've got Google on it or if they've got their maps opened, they're, they've got it all. I mean, it's just what it is. There's no way to circumvent it. So, but I do miss picking up the phone and dialing on a keypad. I will tell you that right now. I do miss that deeply. Deeply.
again, remember those old phones with the cords and they were like green, and you would put it, like you'd hang it up?
And you would stretch it to get some privacy. It'd be on the wall in your kitchen, and you'd have a 25-foot cord, and you'd go way, way, way around the room to find some privacy so you could have a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And quiet time was so valued. You know, I know during dinner time, my parents would take the phone like off the hook. So if
Right.
you couldn't even get in touch with us, you'd get a busy signal. And now you go out to a restaurant and everyone's on their phone, not even interacting with each other. It's you know, it's just stuff to think about. And again, like I'm so for technology, but we have to find balance, and we'll see. I mean, we'll just see how this whole thing plays out, you know. But you know, when I listened to one of the executives that spoke at Davos with Microsoft. You know, they're just like, you know, don't worry, we're going to be human centered. But that's not true, because I've listened to Klaus Schwab talk about us merging with the machine,
Right.
you know, and people are so for this, mindlessly not thinking about, well, that would actually make the human race extinct. And that's kind of heavy, but that's just reality. That's the truth, you know.
Well, we don't recognize, and maybe you do, how addictive the technology is and how the algorithms of how things are showing up for us are very, very addictive. And I can see it in myself. It's like, wow, I just spent 30 minutes or an hour going through YouTube shorts, just whatever, just completely. And it's like, I'm in it and I'm going, so I take the applications off my phone. It's like, it's ridiculous. They really have us locked in, whether it be, this whole serotonin situation or whatever it is that's happening in our brain when we're going through this. I'm not I don't know how that all works, but I just know it's real. And I'm like, get it off my phone. It's a very interesting process what happens with technology.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. And we're so lucky that we can trust Microsoft putting in a bid to buy 49% of GPT, because they'll do right by us.
Right, exactly. Oh, yeah.
Anyway. All right. So I want to touch base on some stuff, because I've been trying to wrap my head around so many different things. Like, one, with the FDIC talking about bank balance, talking about it will happen, and then how are we going to control the narrative?
Right.
And I see our government is trying to stop the IRS from hiring 87,000 workers, right, to come after the rich. I don't think we need 87,000 workers to go after the rich people, because they have like teams of people to get around all these taxes, right? So who do you think they're going to come after? Maybe people in cryptocurrency? The average worker?
Yeah.
So if this goes through, I'm going to be pretty convinced that our tax system will change following that, because of artificial intelligence and how smart these machines are getting.
Right.
We will be able to be taxed for every time we use our card. And
Right.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I do believe that the tax system is changing, and that's part of them cleaning house to prepare for that. And then everybody will just be taxed on a daily basis, and there won't be such a thing as filing your taxes at the end of the year. It'll just be an ongoing process. That's what I foresee. I don't know.
Yeah. And again, I think we're going to, and so we're going to be taxed. And then for every single transaction that we make, we'll be taxed on that based on the fees of the blockchain. So, I taught a class last night. Folks are complaining about the high fees on Ethereum again, because here we go. Inflation numbers came in low. We saw the cryptocurrency pop up. Everybody who betted against Bitcoin for shorts got wiped out. So they keep having to buy back, and it was pushing the prices of crypto up. So the fees on Ethereum, of course, go up because it's not scalable. But imagine living in that world where every time you use your card, you have to pay a fee.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And that's what it is, right? So I don't see this changing. I can see XRP, Algorand, Stellar, ADA, Hedera, ISO 222 coins coming in, because the fees are so cheap that Ethereum better get its act together. And hopefully Matic is going to help scale it and solve some of these problems, but it hasn't yet. And I can see a shift going over. So for day-to-day transactions, I could see Stellar doing really, really well in XRP and some of those tokens, because if I'm sending you Stellar, what's my fee? A couple cents.
Yeah, it's nominal for sure. Absolutely.
But if I'm sending you $25 and I'm paying $2.50 for a transaction fee, well, that's not really solving problems.
Well, and it's interesting because as you spoke of ERC20, the gas that moves the ERC20 tokens was really low for a long time, of course, with the bear market. So, I mean, just recently when I sent somebody some money, I think it only cost me $1.34. But $1.34 is still $1.34, and it's going to add up. And some of those, as you alluded to, those fees can get really, really, really hefty, really hefty. So
remember during the bull run, you and I were in MetaMask and trying to do some decentralized like finance swaps, and the fees were $150.
oh, just wild. And sometimes it just forces you. Sometimes your hand is forced based on you have to weigh it out. Is the play worth $150 transaction fee to get in and or out of a position that you're holding? It just really depends, and that's a personal choice based on your own investment theses. But was calling Ethereum the mafia of the blockchain because they really held your back against the wall. So to see these other elements coming forward, which we've known about, but really finding their foothold is pretty amazing, pretty cool. I can't wait for the class tomorrow or on Saturday. That'll be great.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's just so much adoption, and that's one thing, I always say, like, during a bear market, we have so much time to research and dollar cost average and find the projects that are solving real world problems. You know what I mean? So, and this is it. Some of these ISO 222 tokens are really, they're doing really, really, and we're seeing more and more adoption. I look at, even the Stellar blockchain, for example, with the war going on in Ukraine, they're going to be moving to a central bank digital currency that's built on the Stellar blockchain. And then you see the partnership with the United States of America, and Stellar is going to be sending humanitarian aid directly to the people in the Ukraine. So this is happening, whether we like it or not. But like, again, I just encourage everybody to show up, because when this is done, it's done. Like, think about when the government told us to stay home and watch Netflix. Our lives changed overnight. So we had a problem. We still don't have a solution, but the solution will come. They're going to present it, and it's probably going to be in a way of, I know with the World Economic Forum, they were saying we have a polycrisis. We have multiple crises. We have an energy crisis. We have a climate crisis. We have an illegal war going on. And let's not forget, they keep pushing that narrative of a cyber attack.
Right, exactly.
So, I think that could be a way to propel us into the central bank digital currency, for leading nations.
Yeah, and I think this year you're going to see a lot of that roll itself out.
Yeah, for sure. And, and I think about even like, again, with some of our tax structure changing, I watched, did you see that TikTok video by AOC?
I did not.
So she was taught. So New York City is trying to ban gas stoves. Okay.
Natural gas stoves.
Gas stoves are bad. Okay. So AOC made a TikTok video, and she was like, kind of like, what's the big deal? I rent. So she rents, no big deal, AOC. But what about my brother and like, millions of people that have oil to heat their homes?
Right.
Like New York is a big, big oil state, and it's freezing there during the winter. So are you going to put a consumption tax on people that use gas? And how is that equitable? How is that inclusive? Because if you're wealthy, no problem, you can pay that tax. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, if you're retired and you live on like an income of X amount of dollars per month, can you afford that consumption tax to heat your house? What if you drive a gas vehicle and you drive 25 miles to work, and now you have to pay extra tax on that gas to get from point A to point B? How is that equitable? It's not.
No,
So
it's not.
every narrative that they're feeding us is a bunch of baloney.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all in their pre-designed agenda. Same thing with the algorithms on technology. They feed you, they try to take you down a specific rabbit hole.
Yeah, and they pull at people's heartstrings of like, we need to come together as a planet because we are in a climate crisis. We are going to die if we don't do this. And it's like, you're flying around in your gas guzzling SUVs on your private jets. Lead by example. That's what leaders should do. Tyrants say one thing and do another. I mean, that's tyranny. So, I just share this video. We have, I think we have maybe like, I don't know, a year and a half. This central bank digital currency is coming. The Fed now payments are going live, in the summer of this year, without any more delays. So, it's time to get re-educated and and do the right thing for everybody, because we're gonna need to be loud, and we're gonna need our voices to be heard. Otherwise, we're all going to be doing what we're told.
And I'll tell you what, it's not convenient. Just so you know, learning and stepping outside of line is not convenient. It's, they make our lives very convenient where we don't have to think about it. We just do it. That's part of the purpose. I mean, the easier it is for people, they'll just do it without even thinking about it. And then breaking that habit and stepping outside of the system is not convenient. Oh my God, is it not convenient? But man, am I ever glad that I continue to do that.
Yeah, and to continuously learn and just try to stay neutral about some of this stuff, because a lot of it, like, if Kelly and I were in charge, like, things would be really different. But we're not. Like BlackRock is, and Klaus Schwab is, and the IMF and the World Bank. So it's like, if you still want to eat hamburgers, if you have a car and you can't afford a $60,000 electric vehicle, we're going to need to look into some of these carbon credit solutions.
Right.
Okay. So when I look at the United Nations, and the United Nations built like the first securities exchange carbon credit solution, Xange, Xange, and that was built on what, Kelly?
The which one?
X.
Carbon credit?
Yeah.
Is that the energy web token? Wait. No, tell me.
The XRP ledger.
Oh, yes, of course. Yep.
And that they will be using XRP. So as we transition away from an oil-based petro economy, we're moving into electric, right? Into wind, into solar. So we really want to keep an eye on the XRP ledger and some of these other projects that are going on. Like, there's a great project called Moss Carbon Credit. And again, whether it's going to help the Amazon rainforest or not, I highly doubt it. But because it's just another form of an economy for institutions to make a ton of money. But, I think that project will do very, very well in the new economy, because the narrative is, let's get these carbon credits and let's save the Amazon, rainforest.
Well, it's so funny because when you were talking about all that, I was kind of off on my own little thread, and I was thinking about all these ESG scores, and like if you go and buy, because eventually I'll need to get a new car, and I don't want an electric car. Sorry, sacrilege, I know, in today's world, but I really don't. But I was kind of going down this whole thing about, well, if you, in my mind, if you need to take out a loan, you're going to get a different type of loan if you're buying an electric car versus if you take a loan out for a gas guzzling car. I mean, so my mind was like going through this whole, I was on my own little journey over here, because that's what we're talking about. That's how intrusive the agenda is.
Yeah. And you will be rewarded, like Kelly said, if you do an electric vehicle. Or I know the Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum, he's encouraging people to shower once a week. So like, if you follow those rules.
Well, I could go. I won't even go there. But I had a friend over for dinner the other night. My family over, and my son-in-law walks in. He goes, "Wow, you've got an electric range." I said, "Yeah, my ESG score went way up." Woohoo! So we had this fun little dialogue about, wow, yeah, Kelly's doing her part. I know for some people it's really going to irritate this dialogue. Like we're making fun of it, because some people are very, very adamant about being right. I'm doing my part, which is great. You got to do you. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, it's kind of like, I think like Kelly and I laugh because it's so serious and it's so stressful. So
Absolutely.
you have to laugh because laughter is healing. So, and a lot of this stuff is just out of our control. But when I think about, what would help the climate, shop locally, stop shopping at Walmart, stop flushing pharmaceutical drugs down the toilet,
Right.
stop putting pesticides, herbicides all over your yard into our food, stop eating McDonald's. You want to help the economy, you want to help the climate, do those things.
Right.
Grow a garden, an organic garden. Plant native plants to your area. Okay, because we the people can help things become more sustainable. But if we keep using all these herbicides and pesticides, well, guess what? All the insects are gone. Insects are a really important part of our ecology. So, it's just, I think like what I find, most people can only see this far in front of their face. They can't look at the big picture, and we need to start looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Otherwise, you'll be able to buy your double McPlant burger at McDonald's, and your carbon credit score will go up.
Yep.
And who
Absolutely.
knows what that is made out of? Who knows?
Yeah. I'm a carnivore. So, but even then, you gotta be mindful where you're buying things. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, high quality food, things in moderation. That's all.
Yeah.
But it's just, again, like when I look at all of this stuff, it's just, it's happening. And until I see otherwise, and I still feel pretty hopeful. Like I think these centralized systems are coming, decentralized systems are being built. Quartal, the new internet, is being built. We have Cardano has over 3,000 nodes. They're releasing their midnight privacy token. So good things are happening. Decentralized social media. I'll do a deep dive. I think we should do a podcast about that. But
Yeah.
we're not ready for that. So I think that the meeting at Davos and all of these people, they know what's going on, and they are rushing to bring in all of these systems so people don't even know about that. The chat GPT is a great way to censor and to promote the elite's narrative. Do you think you're going to get alternative news or a different perspective from artificial intelligence that was created by these elite folks?
Oh, it's going to be very, very scripted.
Very, very scriptive. And I get concerned because I know they're going to be voting on Section 230 again this year. I mean, censorship bills are being promoted, in the United States government. And the same thing with the FDIC. It's like, how are we going to control this narrative? The people trust the banking system. I mean, I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but maybe some people do. But
I think generational. I think it's there's generational pockets of folks that really trust the banking system and feel that. And it depends on what category you're in terms of what your wealth is. Also, I think those that are extraordinarily wealthy feel that they can trust and lean into what and who's managing their money for them.
Yeah. Very.
But those of us that are, living day to day, not so much.
Yep. So it's almost time to dump our cash. Dump cash, baby!
Check out the hodlers.net. It'll lead you right back to Two Women in Crypto. But Andrea is quite the lyricist and has created some amazing educational songs. So do check it out.
Yeah.
Do check it out.
Yeah. Because I think about, I was watching George Gammon, and he went to Istanbul, Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it should be on everybody's bucket list because it's absolutely gorgeous. And
yeah.
The inflation rate in Turkey, according to their government, is 60%. Now we know it's way more than that. So the Turkish people, as soon as they get paid in lira, they automatically convert the lira into the United States dollar or into a euro or into gold. He did say that he's starting to see some vendors starting to accept Bitcoin, but Bitcoin went down, like over 60%, since the bull cycle. It's still very volatile, right? It's a young technology. So until it becomes mass adopted, it is volatile. So you want to get a stable coin like the dollar or the euro. But what happens if something happens to the euro or the dollar? Then all we're left with is gold and Bitcoin, right? So we want to keep an eye on these things because, I feel better, Kelly, having a Glint Pay card.
Right.
Even though I'm paying a monthly fee, even though if I use my card, it's $3, but if eggs go to $20 a dozen because we go through a period of some hyperinflation with our food and with our energy, then I know my prepaid Glint Pay card will go up in value because I'm holding my dollars and grams of gold that's secured in a vault in Switzerland.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely something to look at outside of the actual physical, because I know you are holding, I think there's a lot of people out there that are actually holding physical gold, silver, and I highly encourage that. We talked about that. We talk about that frequently, but that's also very important for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then, and I've been getting a lot of, people just with concerns about, well, I have all of those things, like what would be next after that? And I think Kelly and I would agree it would be land, right. So it's housing, and the housing market is next to start to fall. It's already starting to fall here. Housing prices are decreasing because the interest rates are so high. So the demand is falling. And again, it's just like, in times of turbulence and in crisis, when the housing market drops, that's another amazing investment. And that's a safe place to park your cash and build equity.
And back on the gold conversation, which you probably, I'm sure you probably saw it, but it's Iran and Russia are wanting to issue a new stable coin backed by gold. So, and it's been in the news for many, many, many months now about, when you think about the war in Russia and how Russia went back to, to using gold and acquiring tons and tons of gold. So, parking your cash into real estate. If you can hold on just a little bit longer, I know some folks just recently were able to acquire a home, which is an amazing thing. But yeah, the housing prices will be dropping.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it takes time. It's the same with when I look at how the Federal Reserve is handling inflation by basically like making mass layoffs for companies. Think about how many people get severance packages for a year and then they apply for unemployment. So, we'll see how much, how many more people are going to get laid off and what's that going to do. The inflation numbers will probably just crash, but at the same time, that's not going to help the price of food. Food is going up.
Right.
Energy is going up. So, it'll probably be more of like a stagflation type of situation that we're going to be facing, which is very difficult to overcome. So we'll see. All of this stuff is like super interesting. But, if you're on a budget and you still eat McDonald's, look, you can go to McDonald's, you can get your Happy Meal, and you get an NFT based on the Solana blockchain.
There you go. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Good advice.
Oh my gosh. And Ripple and Solana came out yesterday and announced a partnership with climate. So again, there was going to be a huge narrative for like saving the world and with the climate, even though there's other ways we can handle this. But yeah, I don't know. It's all good. All right. So what else do we have?
I don't know. I think you've covered a lot.
Yes.
As we do every week.
Yeah. That was super fun. And I know some of this stuff it gets really heavy, but like, with the Davos meeting and how they're pushing this climate agenda, these carbon credits, it's just, we have to go there every once in a while because we need to stop this. Just because the World Economic Forum wants to take over the world, like Ren and Stimpy. Remember, I'm going to age myself, Just because they want to take over the world, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. But we, the people, need to be educated. So, yeah, hope to see everybody on Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern, really diving deep into some of the adoption with these projects and just talking about the new messaging standard. It's being adopted right now. Right now, it'll be over by 2025, and the world will have shifted to cross-border payments in a digital economy. So there's a great transfer of wealth happening, and I encourage everybody to get on board and be a part of this.
This is the year, folks.
It's the year.
Get on the train.
Yep.
On the train. All right. Well, until next week. Oh, and I'm just going to say it because we're going into the year of the water rabbit. We're leaving the year of the tiger behind. That's okay. So happy.
Happy. And until next week, we're gonna
HODL
on.
Your hosts for Two Women in Crypto are Andrea Caldero and Kelly Lair. You'll find more information and details regarding the Two Women in Crypto membership, educational and informative class and event offerings, and more via their website, twowomenencrypto.com. Both Andrea and Kelly are available for speaking events and offer private consultations focused on helping individuals navigate the future. Until next time, HODL on.